If you want to know how to actually keep wealth as a business owner without tying it up in places you don't have access to and without taking advice from people who haven't even walked in your shoes, well, this might be the most important video you watch all year. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 3 levels of wealth management. And by the end, you're going to know exactly which level you're at and if you've outgrown your current financial advisor. My name is Luke Turner. I'm the co-founder of Moment Private Wealth. And over the last 10 years, I've helped hundreds of business owners walk through this exact problem, ones that have sold for tens of millions of dollars. What no one tells you is that all financial advisors, they aren't created equal. Just like there's levels to business, there's levels to advisory. And if you're a business owner between $5 and $50 million, the system that you need today is vastly different than the system you needed just starting out. Let's be honest, you're really good at growing wealth. That's what got you here. You ran the business, you took the risk, you got the reward. But running a business and running your financial life are two totally financially different things. So let me ask you this question. Are you running your personal financial life like a business or like a hobby? We're going to find out as we walk through the 3 levels of wealth management. In each of these, I'm going to walk through 3 questions you need to ask yourself to know which level you are at. Let's dive in. The 3 questions we're going to cover at each one of these levels is who they are, what you get, and who is a good fit for. Level 1 is going to be our simplest level, moving all the way up to level 3, which is going to be for our most complicated business owners. That's the world that I live in and day out. But it's really important to peel back the curtain on the 3 levels because the reality is all business owners are not a good fit for a multifamily office. They got to have the right amount of complexity. They have to have the right amount of financial means. And we want to make sure as a business owner watching this, you know which level you're at and if you've outgrown the current level that you're at today. Level 1 is the broker. This is your classic insurance salesman, product-driven, commissionable role. A lot of times these roles get a bad rap. Brokers get a bad rap. But there are a lot of brokers out there that are doing great work for business owners that need these products. Now, the reality is this is typically the simplest level that's out there. The reason is that when you talk to a broker, they are brokering a product for a larger institution. Now, when that happens, it puts the broker in a situation that they have a limited amount of products that they can offer to those clients. And as we get further and further down the line of level 2 and level 3, you'll start to see how big of a difference there is from an offering standpoint for those business owners. Now, what do you get on the other end as a business owner? Now, we've talked a little bit about that they're product-based. Now, when I think about product-based, typically this starts with insurance. And if you're a business owner, chances are you have some sort of insurance, whether it's commercial insurance in your business, whether it's buy-sell insurance in your business, maybe it's personal life insurance. Those 3 things that I all just mentioned are really important in all things that you need. But the important thing to understand is that this is not a service. This is a product. This is something that you're going to buy one time. You're not going to hear from them on an ongoing basis. You are not going to be getting tax advice, estate planning advice. You are going to be getting a product in return for paying the premium. Now, who is this a good fit for? I'll give you a story when I think about who the best person is for the brokerage. Somebody that's going out and they're going to buy a small business. When you go through the buying process, let's make the assumption that they're going to go through the SBA lending process. And when they go through the SBA lending process, they're going to get out a $5 million SBA loan. Well, typically, if you're going to get out a $5 million loan, it's because you don't have that liquidity on your personal balance sheet. So let's say you have $500,000 to your name, you're putting that into the business. Well, the SBA is going to want some sort of backing. So that way, if you were to pass away and the business were to collapse and fail, they have some way to recoup some of the loan. So you might need to go out and get a life insurance policy on yourself to pay back that SBA loan. That is a perfect fit for a broker where there's a huge need for that product. It's a ideal fit, and it is for the business owner that from a complexity standpoint has the lowest level of complexity. They're just starting out. You might be listening to this and you're saying, well, Luke, I bought my business 5 years ago. I've been growing it, running it. I have a lot more complexities in my financial life. Who am I a good fit for? Well, that's really where we look at level 2. I want you to think about this as these middle market companies, these middle market entrepreneurs. And level 2 is what we call a registered investment advisory firm. Now, a registered investment advisory firm, who they are, this is where we're going to start getting into the difference between fiduciary and suitability. So registered investment advisors are typically what are called fiduciary advisors. This means that they're legally obligated to sit on the same side of the table as their clients. Now, this is really valuable to you if you have the means to get to level 2, because that fiduciary aspect is going to put you in a situation that you know without a shadow of a doubt the person that's sitting across the table from you giving advice is going to be acting in your best interest. As you continue to build wealth, this should be table stakes. If you're at level 2, where you're continuing to grow your business, you're doing millions of dollars in top line revenue, you should ask your financial advisor, are they a fiduciary? If they're not, it should be a red flag that you may have outgrown the advisory firm that you're with right now. What do you get with a registered investment advisory firm? When you think about brokers, typically these are going to be product driven, like we just talked about. But RIAs are going to go beyond just the investments. You're going to start to get some real financial planning. And when we think about financial planning with traditional RIAs, they're going to build you a custom investment portfolio. And they're also going to put you in a situation that you understand from a financial planning standpoint, how can you retire, right? You're continuing to build wealth, you're continuing to save money. What does this actually look like for me as I continue to save money? Am I on track to retire at 65? Am I on track to fund my kids' 529 plans? Those are going to be questions that 99% of registered investment advisory firms are going to be able to answer for you. Now, where are they lacking? When you think about tax planning, estate planning, business advisory, insurance specialists, you're going to get met typically with a referral, where you're going to come to them, you're going to ask a tax question about qualified business income, QSBS, all the loads of tax questions that you might ask as a business owner. They're going to say, I can't give tax advice. That's really a question for your CPA. What I found is that most business owners, as they continue to build wealth, this is where their frustration starts to build. And who is that level 2 a good fit for? Well, it's the person that's continuing to save money. They have excess over and above what they need to reinvest into their business, and they really need that basic financial plan. But for the folks that have a great deal of financial complexity, they're paying millions of dollars in taxes. They have estate tax liabilities. They have irrevocable trusts. They need help with business advisory. How much to keep in my business? How much to take out? Business succession planning. How do I pass this down to the next generation? How do I sell it? All those items are going to be part of level 3, which is the multifamily office. And this is where I live day in and day out. These are going to be firms that aren't just going to be that fiduciary investment advisor, but they're going to help with anything with a dollar sign. I want you to think about it as a person that you can throw any question over the wall, and they're either going to know the answer right off the bat, or they're going to go get you an answer. So there's one point person. And when I think about these types of firms, who are they best fit for? Well, they're a great fit for people that have constant questions because of the complexity that they're facing. I mean, just this week, I probably fielded 10 to 15 phone calls from entrepreneurs about buy-sell insurance, about how to set up an irrevocable trust, about how to mitigate estate taxes, about how to generate more passive loss in our portfolio to offset capital gains. Questions about hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, all things that at level 1 and level 2, those just aren't available because there are not the financial means and the financial complexity to worry about it. And when you think about the financial team and how this plays out, you're going to be in a situation that the multifamily office is going to be able to handle the tax planning. They're going to be able to handle the estate planning. They're going to be able to handle the risk management. And you're not going to be given a referral, but rather you're going to have one person to call. And you're going to be in a situation that you're going to get a lot of your time back because you don't have to go talk to 5 or 6 different service providers to get the answer to your question. Now, who is this a good fit for? When I said at the beginning of this video is really for those folks between $5 and $50 million. This is where we start talking about folks in the net worth range, $20 million plus, that they really start to have the financial complexity and the financial means for that multifamily office stage. And if you're in that situation today, let me ask you this question. How much time are you spending on your personal financial life? Second question, is that a good use of your time? Chances are, if you answered yes to the first question, the second question, the answer is no. And you are probably better off hiring out that multifamily office at the stage that you're at right now, because you're in a situation that you have the complexity, you have the financial means to do so. Now, as we wrap up this video, I'd encourage you to think about level 1, level 2, and level 3. And I'd like you to write down which level you are at. To put a bow on our conversation today, what have we covered? We've covered the 3 levels of wealth management. The first is a broker, which is going to be product driven for the simplest level of complexity business owner. Level 2 is the registered investment advisory firm, great for folks that are starting to build out their portfolio and are looking for financial planning, but don't have the complexity or the financial means to hire somebody to do everything in-house. And then level 3 is going to be that multifamily office where you're looking for that one point person to manage everything in your financial life. Tax planning, estate planning, irrevocable trust, business succession planning, a custom investment portfolio. All those different aspects is what flows into level 3 and the highest level of complexity for business owners looking to keep the wealth that they have built. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting out more and more content just like this for business owners like you. And if you have questions, please feel free to respond in the comments below. I will be responding to all those comments and answering your guys' questions.